as StreamYard tells me. Had a little bit of interference last night, but yeah, it looks like we are coming to life here. Twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horseman, where you heard all the raps before, but you kept waiting for the son of song. I keep dance all strong, beats never worthy of our cause. We prolong extravaganza where time sits still, no propaganda. Be wary of the skill as I bring forth the music, make love to your eardrum. Dedicated to rap infidel, beware the fearsome. Lebanon, Don, Malcolm X, beat threat. CD, massacre, murder to cassette. I blow the shop up, you ain't seen nothing yet. Stevie, and we're about to show him a little something. It's not too hot of a news and reviews day, but we're going to get into it and talk some real shop here on your Friday Locker Room. YOLO. Any guesses on that one? Who that one was from, Stevie? Or
no? Debbie Gibson.
It was
I'll
close.
keep guessing that.
Capadonna. I mean, it was, the honorary are actually official 10th member of the Wu-Tang Clan. So
I'm curious to know, do you have to look at those raps before we go and just kind of go over the lyrics a little bit just to remind yourself, or you just got to kind of like recall memory?
That one I can recall because that's been drilled into my head because it was off a very early Ghostface album from 96, 90. When did Iron Man come out? 95? So that one has definitely been just repetition, but there's a lot of them that I look up right real quick, just like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'll once it's in my head, it's in my head.
Wow. Still impressive nonetheless, man. That's
thanks. You know what it goes back to, dude? I think, and this isn't really hip hop. Well, I guess it is poems, in iambic pentameter or whatever, but even in 3rd, 4th grade, two of my teachers were one was very math based and obviously English based. They're teaching you those skills. So one would have us stand up and do flashcards next to each other where you're kind of embarrassing the other kid. And it's to develop the quickness, right? 3 times 8, 7 times 6. And like, if you fucking win, you step to the next kid, you just keep running the room, right? So my mom was a teacher and everything. And it wasn't like it was a big competition, but I was always good with that shit on the quick division, quick addition, quick multiplication. So there's something about the way the Wu-Tang and mathematics works, obviously in the rhyme schemes, that it clicks in my head, I think, a little bit. And then the other part the next year was memorizing like long poems, like The Mountain and all these huge stanzas. So with acting, that became, part of, I think, push me into that of, I can memorize a script. I'd be good at that shit too. And then hip hop came into my life, which is drama, I had hip hop, wrestling, and acting, all fantasy escape world. So I've broken that down a couple of times myself, but I appreciate that. I never really go in like if I was to cut what I want to do on a mixtape of how I really rap. I'm just saying the words.
Well, I think we talked about talking at colleges and universities and stuff like that, man. That's an awesome opening. Of course,
thanks, man.
Well, you got to, and colleges, you might have to choose your words carefully in the lyrics.
Well, I would love to, like we were talking off air, of people we care about who do it. I mean, I got Rated R, I got Frio, Rated R, a 13-year veteran MC, and I mean, he's got 40 underground albums, I think, by now, and does the Hacker Hamin theme music, and is the same way we are in wrestling and entertainment, tired of the bullshit when his skill set is so high. And then Frio is down at Hot 97, which is the big hip hop station in New York City where people go to do freestyles, and a lot of people get made there. And he's cutting all these videos and working on his celebrity in a different way. But I would love to get both those guys a shine. They'd be an awesome opening act on something like that, and they'd make custom music just for us. So
don't forget about King Gage.
And King Gage, absolutely not at all. The new mixtape's coming, man. Actually. I'm gonna write 4 bars for that. Send it to him. See what's up. I might write your verse if you want in your 80s. I'll get some good 80s.
You know what you should do, since he's smartened up to everything. Use the red bands in a Clinton kill list type verse.
Absolutely. I'll get all the product over. But I want to say shout out to everybody joining us. Twitch.tv/Conspiracy. So, man, I went live during Raw, had like 35 people in. We had 57 during Horseman last night. Fitzy, Domino, Voices of Misery, our huge sponsor this month, is in their Rat Salad review too. So, that's just synergy, man. That's just awesome shit to me, where I set up the tweet, the signal flare, from Twitch, and dudes are bored on a fucking Thursday and they want to say, hey, let's go to the locker room, hang with the boys. Potts 528. I see you guys too. Sonic, I'm all the original heads in there, man. So that's got me pumped up this morning. That just gave me a boost of energy along with some Dippin' Donuts coffee.
Nice.
See, we get it in, man. We get it in.
So we don't have so much copy to read. That's a good
the headlines are kind of the shits. You think going into war it would be getting hot, but I think everybody's just knuckling up. And it was interesting. Did you see that saying that the Booker T clip where he's like, war's coming, like, what's it going to be? Shots across the bow. And I was like, holy shit. I said the same thing on Russo, like the exact words 4 days before that. Not that he's listening and use it, but I think it's just the people who really know who went through it. I went through it as a fan and a super mark versus him living the Monday Night Wars, WCW, you coming in ECW to WCW to finish up in WWE while it's all going on. Like, these guys are generals of like Black Ops, Stooge reports. They see what the fuck's happening and they're going to play their little part. In fact, like, you never know, like Hamin Media could be a part in some of this shit with covert ops. So like there's a lot going on, and I like little stooges like that. Not that he's a stooge, but like little pieces of truth, I'll say. And Russo talked about it with Jericho when we were on the Raw and SmackDown review, where we're being critical. And here's the guy who's the biggest name in the company, and he's kind of going against the directive when he's talking openly about what it's really going to take to build guys to make stars and not just rely on the Bullet Club Hot Topic t-shirt buying crowd to say that this guy's a star when it comes to the masses who don't have any idea who they are.
It's interesting because I know it's very popular and it's very trendy to call Vince a clueless old man, call Vince out of touch, call him a lot of different things. And those might be true. But two things that Vince is an egomaniac and vindictive. Two of the most dangerous things to combine with someone who now has more money than back when they were going broke. The company was going to close, and WCW had them this close to going out of business at one point.
Yeah.
And that's something that maybe is an advantage this time for AEW, because is Vince as hungry as he was then? Did he have the fight that he had with WCW? What's that?
I'd say that's real interesting, is the way you paint it, and I just bring it in a Game of Thrones kind of way, or anything that we've been brought up with Shakespearean or even historic leaders from around the world. Think about Vince and that, of like, he was a war general who went to it, and the king, like, who's going to fight for the kingdom? He wins it all, rests on his laurels and does whatever. And now he enters that crazy, a later king phase where you can't talk to him, and he's willing to burn the whole kingdom just to fucking reinforce.
Emperor has no clothes.
Reinforce the righteousness that he believes he earned or won in a war years ago, and is just screwball out of his mind. But all the people who survived it and were casualties of it know what the fucking real deal was, and see those fucking sides shaping up again, man.
Well, let's look at the other side of it. Now, Jericho has been through both sides of the war, and obviously he saw WCW's decline, not the full decline and the full chaos, but that's one of the reasons I assumed that he left and went to WWE, and then he saw the way Vince is. So he has a unique perspective of being in both companies during the war. And I'm not sure. I would hope that Tony Khan and the company are looking to him to say, maybe not so much, because he's already publicly said it. Maybe as a public warning to tell them, maybe he did go to them privately and he's saying it now publicly. Here's my question about AEW, though. I haven't seen them go 100% all in to fire the first shot across the bow. Kenny Omega calling Donovan Dijak, Donovan Dickhead, or calling NXT people students or whatever. That's not a shot across the bow. I would have done. We know what our first one would have been. That could have possibly put WWE in the worst spot possible. Form a union and give them benefits, and then point out that Vince does not do that for WWE. You could have really sparked a congressional investigation on Vince, and whatever extra tens of millions you would have put in or whatever, you would have basically own the entire wrestling landscape.
Yeah.
Maybe Impact would be thrown to the side, but we're talking about a TV company that's publicly traded with stockholders, TV deals. The Impact and ROH could kind of fall to the side as independent promotions. So, of course, they're independent contractors. But Vince, and that's what I said, not one wrestling show had to air, and they would have already had him on the ropes.
You got Arn and Dean, like right out of the office. You got Road Dogg talking to Billy Gunn back channel for any shit that you want to. I don't need to stooge off who's active roster and fuck them off, who we know is back channel, but it's not super hard to figure out. And from people being boys from NXT or from the Indies to ROH when that split happened, there's so many leaks that, and I don't think anybody's telling anybody to tighten shit up. They're just like, we're going to TV, be ready, everybody. And that, like, don't have a clue what the fuck that even means. But like the real battle's about to start, and our Arn and Dean, who went through all that, chopping it up, saying this is how we can hurt Vince. And, you know, they're getting their big Scud missile launches ready.
Do you think so, though? Do you think so? And I mean, we're talking about different generations of people. I know we can go back and forth forever about this, and we're never going to know until, I believe, the first TV show airs. But we've already had a few pay-per-views where we got the sledgehammer and the throne. But what did we really get after that to cause the momentum to say, whatever? I mean, you could have gotten a parody of Vince on the television show, or what? You do anything you can. Exactly. See, that's your spot right there.
Yeah.
But they really have to treat it like it is a war. And I don't know if that's a generational thing. You talked about Arn, you talked about Tully, you talked about people that are there. Cody, to an extent, Dustin is there. But what about the people that have never been there? Do they really know what they have contract-wise, potential future or potential non-future? Because the Khans are billionaires. They could turn around in a year and say, we're tired of dealing with this. Does Tony Khan want to take on Vince? Is Tony Khan ready to feel that the business
worked?
Well, Tony Khan, yeah, obviously can get worked, but I mean, that's what I mean. Bischoff was ruthless. Russo, to an extent, was ruthless with the creative stuff. He went too far a few times, but he had to. You have to take the losses with the wins and ratings. Vince, of course, his reputation back then, and I still believe that reputation actually somewhat is intact. I told you before, his ego and his vindictive nature. If you trigger one or both of those, you're like Kevin Nash said on the plane at one time to Bischoff, you don't know this man. You have no fucking idea what Vince is capable of. Paraphrasing, but he did say literally word for word, you do not know this man.
Yeah.
And I believe that you want to have something knock you out of your fucking dementia, your Alzheimer's, and wake you to fuck up. Dude.
That could be it. Or it could be the other side of that, of the combination of the dementia and Alzheimer's with the power, which is a fucking dangerous, volatile concoction. Shout out to Greg Mosier and Some Punk with the bits. Appreciate that. You guys seen in there. Ziggy Balls, Michael John joining us this morning. 37 Custom Toys, man. Loading up in here. I like it. Fitzy. Shout out to twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. As we're taping your Ultra Kayfabe declassified edition of the Friday Locker Room podcast on Thursday mornings, usually about 8:30. So if you're hearing this on hackerhamin.podbean.com or even on iTunes, Hacker Hamin, and you want to ever join that live chat on a Thursday morning, the show drops Friday, obviously. But we're up and at 'em East Coast time. Speaking of,
can I add one more thing? Sorry, I keep going off.
Absolutely.
The reason why I bring that up at the end is because the body language, the tone, even the laugh of Booker, he's saying the same thing. Yeah. He goes like, better look out. You fired one across the bow. When the one comes back, because the one has come back, the one that's shooting back at you has shot back so many more times.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, if you're going to shoot first, the idea I had before of hit them in the infrastructure and the weakness of their independent contractor versus employee thing that could come up that can turn on a dime, turn the company's fortunes on a dime, and you'll look like the eternal babyface public relations wise, because guess what you just did? You did it because you care about the wrestlers. And who's gonna have a counter or a cross examination for that?
Nobody. Well, and that would just feed into that. If you were to really announce something, those post press conferences, instead of doing something that's going to bury you, that's where you use that opportunity to drop bombs. So you don't even have to do it on your show. People are waiting, and then you do it after. Make them fucking wait even longer.
And Cody, that was the first thing that Cody said that poked a hole in their armor right there when he said that a union would kill the business. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You just said all this other stuff about taking care of everybody and doing all that. That kind of like got glossed over, dude. But that was huge when I heard that.
How many things have been glossed over from those parking lot where they do the hoorah campaign promises versus what they can actually deliver on once they're in power. So we'll see. Fitzy, thanks for the bits. See that. Social media roundup. Tucker's gear gets stolen. Arn Anderson's podcast drops, and relive Matt Hardy's title win, Stevie. Heavy Machinery showed their presence on SmackDown, but unfortunately for Tucker, he might have to get some new gear. The Blue Collar Boys' car was broken into, and a thief took his items. Tucker knows who to lean on, however, and gives a shout out to his boy Otis. He says, if anyone's seen some gear up for sale online, let me know. Terrible way to what was an otherwise a nice trip to San Francisco, and shows a picture of the window smashed out. Put your gear in your trunk, yo.
Oh, that's what happened. He had it in the back seat.
Yep.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
And never check your gear when you get on the plane. Always have it in your carry.
Always. I think he probably just did have that there, but it's easy to get lazy. I like the referee sideburns, even though it's just referee gear. He has it in a bowling bag, so like if anybody would see that in the back, no one's gonna be like, I'm fucking stealing that bowling ball. That always pops me. Let's see here. Wrestle Stone does not fucking want to load. WWE teases The Bump with Evan Mack audition tape. WWE has confirmed its trademark for The Bump was not in vain. Earlier this morning, a new Twitter account at WWE The Bump tweeted out an audition tape for newly hired WWE personality Evan Mack. The host goes through several strange tangents, seemingly revealing a low-key discussion-based vibe for an eventual program. So, is that Evan Mack the new hire of like a announcer guy? Who is Evan Mack?
That's what I was about to ask. Who he is?
What the fuck? WrestleZone bullshit. Fucking
Evan Mack.
Pop over fucking
EvanMack.com.
The fuck, Kellum?
Is he a bald white guy?
Looks like a black dude in a leather jacket on the Bump video here. So I don't know if he's
not him. It looks like Tim Hasselbeck, the retired quarterback from the NFL. Oh. So are he doing it? Is he going to do the music now, or does he have a show that's going to air on the network?
I think he's going to be like, you know how they want to do their own version of Fox Sports recap shows where it's like comedy and zingers. It might be that. I don't know.
Oh God. Like comedy sports show.
Yeah.
Isn't this product enough to laugh at?
Yeah.
I would, dude. You know what I would do? And I would say, I think we would be the best at it. Russo would be good. And you could pick a few people. Pat McAfee would be good, but you gotta not fucking censor anybody or fucking like edit anybody. It has to be a legitimate debate show, like Undisputed, like First Take, and you have to talk about the DUIs. You have to talk about social media, the promos you cut on people like Ember Moon and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That brings everything around, and also
because if what's his name does it with whatever Krusty the Clown hair, what's his name?
Sam Roberts.
Sam Roberts does it. It's easy to jump on him and be like, you little radio mark, you've never taken a bump. You won't say that shit to me if I point out, or if you point out something that you're doing that's fucked up, like superplex Falcons arrow kick out, right? Like You won't step to it like that, where they can squash Sam Roberts out and then he'll do tweet, apologize, dive, repeat.
You imagine like so many things you could do from that. And then that one show, the debate show, will draw people to the network, will draw people to FS1. Yeah. You have a wrestling show that's like that, and you just copy paste what Skip Bayless is doing with Shannon Sharp. You have a Charlie or somebody moderating it. Dude, it's fucking good shit. You do it from Stamford, Connecticut, do it from WWE Studios or something. You do it. There's even times that Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith on First Take will go to Dallas. They'll do an on location in Dallas, and he hates the Dallas Cowboys, so they all boo him, and it's good. So imagine we go to fucking Iowa, and there's a Raw that night, and you're burying Seth Rollins for the Falcon Arrow. Whatever superplex Falcon Arrow, whatever order it is. Imagine Falcon Arrow into a superplex. Oh, probably try that.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, I just got to switch them. Okay, yeah, that's it.
But imagine the buzz over that. As a matter of fact, we probably wouldn't be able to do it because it would get way more over than anything they have on TV.
Actually, what they would want to do to get it over, there's actually trying to build into some feud where, like, he'll do it just on purpose, and they'll cut to me going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing is with that too? Real life, there's beefs and this and that, but the guys never cross paths. Skip Bayless and Troy Aikman have hated each other for years. Mm-hmm. They're not going to have a cage match. They're not going to have, like you said, try to murder me. Now I'm going to pin your shoulders to the mat for 3 seconds. When you hate somebody, you're going to fucking say, I fucking hate them. And then they're like, oh my God, I can't wait for them to finally cross paths. But it's not about the payoff of that in real sports. It's about they just keep jabbing back and forth for years.
Yeah, just keep hype, man. Just like, because there's credibility, and then there's things you can shoot holes in and then talk shit back, but they're so blind to it, man. Or else maybe they're not, and somebody's pitched it and it's never getting there. But here we are on Twitch watching Clash of Champions and shit like that. Jay Hall, have a good day, man. Appreciate you joining us this morning. So you got to run. Let's see. I did see that. This is off topic, but speaking of, did you see that clip where it was Cornette in a panel there, and it's like indie wrestlers having a match in front of him, and then he fucking blows the air horn on them as soon as they go rotten, like, do something stupid, like locked up, went behind, whatever, gives the guy a fucking side slam or whatever it is, back body drop slam, and then fucking, instead of going for a cover kick out, the dude fucking sells right up like he's gonna do something. Cornette grabs the fucking horn, and then goes in and cuts a 90-second promo on the guy that he's a fat fuck and they're rotten and look sloppy and da-da-da, instead of being like, no, like, you don't do that. You fucking, pin the guy, kick out, bring him back up after you give him a big power move like that, keep the heat on. Like, these fucking indie goofs don't know, and that's what it's kind of for, is to put that out there. So that show might not be that bad, even if you had it at more of a masterclass level, instead of just being able to call guys with no gear looking like shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they wouldn't hire Cornette either.
Well, I mean,
they have all you just have.
Why wouldn't you hire fucking dudes who are scary presences, man? Like, what you see on Maury is not what you're going to see on Jerry Springer. It's the same kind of thing, but they're separate. And I don't know, there's just so much there. Like, because of heat and bullshit, you're leaving it on the fucking table.
Well, because it's the WWE network and the shows outside of the pay-per-views or whatever stuff you see in the ring is pure propaganda and infomercial.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, there's a place for that. There's documentaries to get characters over. By the way, whatever WWE 24 or anything like that, you should dedicate an entire hour of Raw to that.
Yeah.
Show that from 10 to 11. People watch it. It's a different change of pace or whatever. But there's no room for differing opinions. If there were, 27 writers would all have 27 opinions. It would actually be much more of a mess. But at least moving forward, those opinions would mean something. Even if you took one out of the 27 that are different than Vince's. You can tell us all day long that it's a great process, and Jimmy Jacobs can say that they're fucking geniuses or this and that, but nothing is getting done because nobody's allowed to get anything done. Because if you try to change anything, if Vince could produce every one of those network shows, he would, and you would see.
He should. Then there'd be at least a little continuity instead of these decompartmentalized, as Russo said with whatever Stooge report he got, 10 guys standing around a 30. Can you imagine the Bailey pre-tapes we've seen, the fucking Seth Rollins laundry night one, that on the other side of the camera there's 7 to 10 guys with pens in their mouth going, yeah, that's what we want. I think that's the take. That's the one. Like, where Jimmy Jacobs, like, they don't know if you've never been there. These are the most genius people ever. Aside from Firefly Funhouse, which is entertaining, I don't even know if I'd call it genius level. It's a good for
it's
what
better than what they have. That's
right
about it.
But let's take that 2 minutes out of every show. Now tell me what you've seen else that's you would consider genius creative.
You got a great point, man.
Chad Gable short jokes, Lacey Evans knockout punch, and wave like it's Streetcar Named Desire. Am I froze?
No, I'm listening to you. Okay. I'm here.
Where you can go down the line from Nobody's Ready for Asuka to burying her and Nakamura. Nothing with Braun Strowman to pay off this great whodunit angle that went nowhere, to try and get Rowan over, only to pair him with Harper again, who both should be individuals, and not even mention the Bludgeon Brothers or any of this shit that's going on, or even tie Braun in with, any of the Bray stuff historically. Like, that's simple. That's not even GED level. Fuck genius. So from the guy who wears women's panties and kimonos and carries the purse around, I'm not here to take as the creative level of like, oh, he said it. Good.
These are conversations that need to be had.
Yep.
There needs to be somebody saying that right to Jimmy Jacobs' face and saying, but everybody's like, what if I want to go to Impact? Jimmy writes for Impact. I don't want to piss him off. What if he goes back to WWE? Because obviously by still saying nice things, the door may be open in the future.
Yeah.
There needs to be, dude, if I go back to the debate thing or any other thing, sign us to those deals. I'm not saying we're not politics. I'm just giving you an example. Sign us to those deals, do whatever. And I will insist a clause in my contract that I will never wrestle. I do not want to wrestle. I want to strictly do this. So you can't even force me to insert myself into the bullshit world of wrestling.
Right.
I will talk about the bullshit world of wrestling, but we'll take the real stuff and try to make it interesting.
Yeah. Because if they get hot about what they're hearing, it's because they know it's a truth, or let them rebut in a certain way. Because if Buddy Murphy's selling for something on Twitter, are you going to really claim that you're doing something the right way and not be able to take criticism when you're shooting promos at La Quinta Inn telling the world you're such a fucking rich guy with the janitor in the background mopping the floors? Just like, what the fuck, man? Like, if you can't take criticism on that, I see your heart's in the right place. But if there's 10 writers and there's camera guys and you're bored, grab 2 of them and go do something that's better than that. And if that's the best you got, then recognize it and ask for help from somebody who's fucking phenomenal, who created Matt Hardy's world, who created, it's not that hard to humble yourself and ask for help in realms where you're not the professional. Impact Wrestling issues bonuses to talent for recent tapings. Impact Wrestling recently paid out bonuses to talent that worked on the pre-tape day for Brian Cage and Melissa Santos' wedding, according to report PW Insider. It wasn't noted exactly how much the bonuses were for, but the talent did get paid extra for showing up earlier in the day to help out for the segment. The segment itself won't air until Friday on Impact Wrestling, but the long pre-tape day had been in contention by the talents since its start. In previous reported segment, it was noted that the segment itself went on air for some time, and many of the talent were unhappy with the conditions. From the sounds of it, though, the management and Impact were able to settle any issues thanks to the bonuses, which acted as a thank you to the talent. I know the fans weren't even happy really about that because Impact's fucking, viewership is such a small circle now, 180,000 really on TV. And if that sometimes on chopped up stuff, that it's diehards who are really following your product. So you're going to do the Brian Cage, Melissa Santos wedding in a fake way when they've already had it and posted it all over Instagram, the whole nine. And people know Brian Cage has heat with The Office because of, obviously claiming what I believe to be a legit injury based on how he works. I can't believe he's not more hurt. And then he's doing backside Ollie Impossibles for the marks in Vegas or someplace on Instagram and putting it out there. And The Office is like, well, what the fuck, dude? You're telling us one thing, but is it him just working because A, he wants time off with his hot wife, and B, maybe his money's fucked up like Killer Cross's is, and he's just playing the game a different way and saying, oh, I'm hurt, dude. I can't work that fucking match and do all those fucking spots and get color or whatever, like it's interesting and then here comes some money because the Hamin media audience was saying that, like, dude, we're supposed to believe in this stupid wedding when we're hooked into Instagram and we know they've been married. It's not like it's a big, broad audience.
They could have just as easily put, but here's the
Oh, sorry. Can I add one more thing to that too?
Oh, yeah, please do.
Melissa Santos, his wife, hosts their Twitch show, which accounts for a fair amount of their little online audience who are hardcores. So in between the break, she's even talking like about the wedding and her bachelorette party and stuff like that, dude. So it's not her fault because they're just hurting for creative to do that, like to do the wedding angle again. I mean, how many times, dude? But here's a piece of hush money where we say it's all right. Boys got taken care of, and boys are all leeches, and we love money. But if they got money to do that, does that mean they got money to pay guys more? And does that mean they got money to pay Cross what he's owed?
Mm-hmm. That was the other side of the coin that I was going to say. What's Killer Cross think about all this? If you're bonusing out the boys and doing all this other stuff, and sure, they won't even, he's just sitting there waiting for them to let him go.
Well, that bonus out could be more than just a thank you for coming early. There could be rumblings of, dude, fuck this, I'm out of here. They said be here at 2, and now I got to be here at 8 and get the same pay. Fuck that. And like that, how that'll spiral. And then that gets back to The Office. Boys are fucking pissed, dude. All right, we got to give them each extra $250. We gotta, otherwise they're gonna be fucking gone. And then
give them extra $250 a piece when they're severely underpaid. So like you're almost paying them exactly what you should be paying them per night. Yeah. Almost.
Right. But only the ones who are in the wedding segment, who are your pseudo stars, you know what I mean? In your mid card. So they're not fucking hot. And then, okay, fine, we're good. And then we'll wait till the next hurdle to jump over where let's fuck them to the point where we can fuck them and they're ready to leave. And then give them $200. Like, that's what wrestling is, kids.
We're such good people. We're a family. Right, that kind of shit.
I love the business, like all that shit. So and it might not, and 250 is a generous estimate, isn't it?
Do you mean that? Oh, what you're saying?
Yeah,
it could have been $50, dude.
I didn't want to go that low to fucking make people look like that sycophantic, but I would say 250 is probably not what it was. I would say 150. I don't know, but maybe 250.
Well, how many people are on the roster right now? How many people are at this taping? Multiply that.
It's who was in that segment, right? So I don't know how many to be in the wedding party and whatever else they're doing, but yada yada.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh, there's one I'd like to get your opinion on. Victoria announces her retirement from professional wrestling. Former WWE TNA superstar Lisa Marie Vachon, aka Victoria, or excuse me, Vachon Verone. Victoria has announced her retirement from professional wrestling after this past weekend. Victoria competed in her last match against Melina at Masters of the Ring Entertainment, in which she has now revealed is her final ever wrestling match. Victoria posted the lengthy message thanking various people for her career, which you can see below. Nice 8x10 shot of her with the belt. And she says, as Kurt Angle would say, oh, it's true. It's damn true. Thank you, Melina, for main eventing my final match this past Saturday. It's such an honor leaving the ring as Women's Masters of the Ring Entertainment Champion. Thank you to Trish Stratus, Terry Runnels, and Melina for sharing this moment with me. Don't be sad for me, be happy for me. I had an awesome 20-year run. I love you all so very much. I'm appreciative of your support and loyalty. Boom. So looks great, obviously going out where she wants to. I'm not sure where she is with the restaurants and stuff, where her career is with that. I know that was kind of her husband or ex-husband's bag, where she is catching up. But obviously a big part of your career in WWE. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I saw her at that show. I was at that show. It was an hour north of Wellington, North Carolina. She had said, I didn't know that was her last match, but she said she was going to stop wrestling. So I didn't know that was her last match, or I would have stuck around. I left. I was first. I left right afterwards. Hey man, I got to get out of here, man. I got to. She had asked me too, like if I was going. There was this place there's this bar next door to the hotel, and she asked me if I was going to. God, it sounds like such a fucking heel. I was like, she's like, are you going to go out and hang out afterwards? Or like her, Melina, and everybody were going to this bar like right next door to the hotel, and I said I have to watch Sports Center. So I'm a fucking jerk off. I didn't realize it was our last.
You didn't throw yourself under the bus like that, buddy.
Whatever.
That's the Friday locker room, you guys right here. We miss opportunities sometimes.
So she, she didn't get enough credit for what she did in WWE. As a matter of fact, with everybody that was returning, she was about the only one that wasn't. And even one time when she showed up, they escorted her out of the building. Am I incorrect in remembering that?
No, that's true.
What's
that? What the fuck's that heat about?
I wouldn't think she would even know. I don't have any clue. And there's girls that have come back there with way more heat than she had, and she had none. As far as, whatever internal or whatever happened, but she's about as harmless as they come. Like when it comes to interacting, Yeah. I don't know about that, but I would have liked, maybe hopefully at this point, the one last thing she does is maybe the Women's Royal Rumble in January. Maybe they reach out to her and that'll be her last thing, because there wasn't a whole lot of people at the show. It was in a very small town of 60,000 people. The building was huge, and they may have drew 200-300 people. I'm talking about an 8,000 seat building. So it was
classic indie draw, but wrong venue.
Yeah. Well, if you saw the poster, Brian Cage, Shane, her, Melina, James Storm, Billy Gunn, Sean Spears, TJ Perkins, who else? C.W. Anderson, me. I'm the lowest on the card. I should be.
Shane.
Want to be the best opening match ever from now on.
Mm-hmm. Shane
right
Douglas.
there, and what's that?
Shane Douglas.
Well, I said Shane, didn't I? Shane Douglas. I mean, you talk about all these people on the show. I felt horrible. I'm sure they took a huge loss.
Their ass. What I was going to say was it mainly a signing thing where all 200-300 people were there to get signings, or is it just a show? Like
we did both.
Yeah, but
we did 2 hour meet and greet.
Money's split, right? The money's split unless you do like a package to get everybody.
Well, they did 100. They kept 100% of whatever, and people brought tickets. I hope they made a little bit back, but for the venue, yeah. And then they had tickets for the show. It wasn't a lot of people to come. It sucks. It's awful. Yeah, I'm going back to the point. If that was her last match, her and Melina had a good time, I'm sure, and nobody got hurt, and she wrestled who she wanted to. But for somebody like Victoria should go out at a Royal Rumble type pay-per-view event and make it nice and easy for her, get an appearance, and maybe it'll spark signings and stuff for her, to where she doesn't have to.
She should keep that belt because that company's probably not going to be around after this fucking.
Well, I don't think Shane won the belt Shane won some belt from me too. So there was no belt in there. Opening world title match,
dude. Just hearing what you laid down there and what cost on shit is, that could be it for them right there. That could be lights out, bro.
I felt terrible. I always feel terrible, but then again, I felt like saying to them, why didn't you have somebody like Shane Douglas who had booked and promoted shows in towns for years and years and years with ECW, with Extreme Rising? Shane had experience. First thing Shane had said was, and it's right, the boys might not like it, but Shane would have told him, well, my advice about running the show? Do not run the show.
Yeah.
Don't run the show. It's not a good idea unless you're in Charlotte or a big town. And even then, myself, Shane, to an extent, even Brian Cage, James Storm, and all these other ones, we're niche. Like, yeah. I would sell, me and Shane would sell a lot of tickets in Philadelphia at the arena. Cage and Storm would sell a lot, maybe who knows, in Nashville. Like James Storm would sell tickets in Nashville because of TNA.
Well, it's this. And you've talked about you and I writing some books together, and Vickery hits me up because he wants to start promoting, and I just tell him, I haven't gone too in depth with him because that's a master class in itself with these little books and shit of like, don't run a show, just don't do it. And what does and what won't work. If you want to be successful, you don't have 10 matches on a card. You have 5 to 7 because now you got to pay less guys. You have your crew that works for free, that's loyalists. You have your mid card that you can pay a smaller amount to. Then you have your top guys that you got to pay that are your draw, your workhorses, your storyline guys that you can put against 1 or 2 money draws that you got to shell out for. But we've seen it how many times. Promoters, hearts in the right place. They're excited about being a big guy in their 60,000 person city. And dude, he got Impact, he got ECW guy, and he's fucking in to 20 grand before he even gets out of the fucking blocks. When most indie shows can be run 2,500 to 7,500, depending on who you have as the money draw. And you're probably only going to draw 200 to 300 because wrestling is not cool. Wrestling is not over. So you actually promote extra hard and sell blocks of tickets to Boy Scouts, to mentally handicapped schools, to the giveaways with the police department, to the fire department. Go ahead.
Oh no, there was a gnat. Sorry.
And get just the fanfare going that hopefully if you get the kids 2 tickets, the parents are going to buy 2 tickets just to fill the fucking house to get over. Maybe they'll buy the autograph, and you should be doing 50-50 split instead of 100%.
Well, they were honestly trying to make their money back. I know they probably thought, oh shit, 50-50 was after the show, but you're going to get everything before. I didn't, right. That's maybe intermission, but right. Go ahead. Well,
the fact that you got that many money draws on there, every one of those guys is not a fucking idiot. Give me an envelope goof. I'm getting my shit before anything happens. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You're out of pocket, not, can we make it back based on the house? So people need to realize, and promoters, like I said, I don't know this guy. I'm sure his heart was in the right place. He was pumped. He was running a show for his people. But you just have Stevie and Shane. You just have C.W. Anderson, or you just have the Victoria go home match, not Brian Cage, not dude. You are delusionally sinking your own ship unless you're doing that during a WrestleMania weekend where everything else is going on. And how many promoters have I seen do that by overbooking cards? And their company's gone. I can name 3, 4.
I would. There's one metric to look at, and I don't mean anyone. I include myself in this and anybody else. Look at what WWE draws with their stars on house shows. Look at what Impact draws when they run house shows. Mm-hmm. Look at what ROH, what's even for their pay-per-views, draw in the crowd. Why do you think your like show's going to draw any differently? Now, if you said it was Victoria's retirement match and that whole show was around like Victoria appreciation, Victoria match, everybody comes out. Now you got something, because now people are like, oh, wow, this is going to be, I remember her and it's the last match. I get to see that. Now it's an event. It's an attraction.
Wasn't booked that way. It was like,
I didn't know. I was there. I didn't know.
So, I mean, these are the simple things of promoter 101 to even come close on that card to try and
Chavo was there too, by the way.
There's the fact that there's nobody there, or maybe there is, to pull that promoter aside when this show's getting booked and be like, dude, you're going in way over your head here, and here's what you need to do to refocus if you actually want to turn a profit or just lose $1,500, which is a win in the indie wrestling world, instead of I don't want to say the promotion I worked for that closed, and he brought me in a lot out there, but same thing where he had almost a mini Raw on those big shows I would work, but he had way overstocked his talent, closed his company that night after his biggest show of the year, had to go to the fucking like quick cash and do a mortgage, something against his home just to pay out guys and fucking come back with like 15 grand in cash to pay people out. And I got stiffed and I drove home 10 hours. And the next day he paid me out, digitally, no problem. But there was just everything he had in cash that he could get to get guys like Paul London paid, to get fucking John Morrison and his shit. Like Sandman was there. It was just like, it was their big show, and it drew 700-800, and he was still scrambling. And it had the signings, the whole fucking gimmick, dude. The year before, he had Hall, Nash, Bischoff on it. I feel bad. That was a good company to work for.
Yeah. You know why? Then on another note, people ask me why I've never opened up a wrestling school, or the same thing we're talking about wrestling promotions, because I would run the business like a business, which means it's not a good business model for me. No. It's too much work. It's too much. It's like a gym, chasing students down for their dues, for their payments. Everybody wants to get into the business, but now, especially with this model they have now, where people are getting paid to learn how to wrestle, it's harder than ever to get somebody to pay you to learn how to wrestle.
Sure.
Because they think they're just a step away from getting discovered and having an NXT or the ROH dojo or something in their mind. If someone sees me, I'm a big guy, they're going to automatically throw money at me to learn how to wrestle. And you guess what? If you played professional football, if you're some kind of like mainstream, whatever, it's absolutely true. But if you're just like us two guys, no, you got to pay.
Yep. Go through the nose. And that's why, but we can talk this way now, because those guys will never, I'm not like, I wish they had the experience we did, like to have to do it, but they won't have the acumen for it. They won't see things coming. They won't see how to get out of the way of themselves and people setting traps for them because of them having it handed to them. But again, the art suffers because of that. And that's just really where we are. That was a good conversation. Back to the fucking shit lines. Fox, we talked about this on Russo's Raw SmackDown review. Fox Sports reportedly wants The Fiend on the Friday Night SmackDown. According to the oft-verified WrestleVotes account, what the fuck does that even mean? Executives at Fox want Bray Wyatt on SmackDown Live. Executives at Fox had already requested the star power of former UFC champion Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar, and now they also want the supernatural alter ego of Wyatt, The Fiend. According to WrestleVotes, Paul Heyman is a gigantic fan of Wyatt and isn't letting him leave the red brand. With the upcoming WWE draft, Wyatt will definitely be a name to watch as WWE shuffles a roster for this new era. We talked about it. I was a little apprehensive about talking bad because the offer's still on the table, and I don't want to do bad biz if we have an opportunity to work outside and have influence. But, as much as Russo has talked about during his tenure, the upper executives who power play from USA, they don't care about an individual little storyline. They're looking at an overall business plan model, how interactivity goes, where the dudes who we talk to were straight wrestling fans. And they probably got the gigs because the upper brass doesn't watch wrestling, but they know these dudes do. So they were handed it. And the way we were talking with them, they absolutely would be like, the Fiend is the best thing going. We need him on our show. Brock's awesome. UFC crossover. Ronda Rousey, obviously crossover. We're going to get those markets, you guys. Like, they're looking at it through somewhat like, all right, how do we get the numbers up way? But there are also a lot of fandom built into those decisions, I believe.
They definitely, there's no question about it. When we talked to them, they did not seem, we've dealt with some shady snake-like TV producers, and they came off like, I mean, how far down on the rung do you think they are? Not saying that's a bad place, because they are in charge of the decisions.
Yeah. I think they're only 3 steps below. I think there's top brass, the executives for the sports, and then these guys. And there's one intermediary in between them. And Bischoff's working with these guys and that next level.
Do you think that he's like, they got that Bischoff smile because he's like, I got that? I mean, essentially what we have here, and we've talked about it before, we have Vince hired Bischoff and Hamin for their spots to buy time. That's our guess, right?
Sure.
Or at least to say they're in charge of this thing, even though every week we hear that Vince is rewriting everything himself. The writers are there essentially as a buffer.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a buffer between him and the boys, or now maybe him and Fox, him and USA. If he starts like firing people and then ends up getting rid of Bischoff and Hamin, or repositions them into another role, he bought himself what, a year or so, maybe more. So, and Bischoff sees that too, and maybe Bischoff
we also have kind of a stooge report on that we can't release. That's a personal thing that wouldn't be cool to do. Of what you see is not what you're getting in the lives of that as well. You know what I mean?
You mean the intentions and the reasons for sort of the position? Okay.
Yes.
Which is as good as it exists, and that person is there. But what I mean is that doesn't make the person or anybody involved not start to drag people back into the lobster pot, or throw people over the side of the Titanic so they can get in a lifeboat. Like, in other words, like I said, Vince has Bischoff and Hamin there, maybe Bruce to an extent too, to buffer everything and then deflect the heat. And they have all the writers, they have the agents, the producers, and what everybody's hearing right now has nothing will not raise the ratings unless you turn the cameras around and show it all. But the problem is everybody will be exposed for being a bad person. And even though Vince says he doesn't care, if you don't care, sure, you can go out to the ring and cut your promo and say you're all fired and all that bullshit. Show us how you are backstage, and show us how you are not. Show us how you really treat people. Don't turn around to the camera and say, shut the camera off when you're ready to be a fucking asshole.
Right.
Own it. Because what's going to happen, dude, is all these people deep down, how many of these people do we see in wrestling? Are they really not afraid to be a bad guy? Or they just they twist the narrative and they turn Russo into one? But look at their actions compared to the actions of Russo.
Do people hate fucking, what the fuck's his name? Chef, go fuck yourself.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. Dude, if they're backstage and even if they're at rip level, like, you dumb fucking cocksucker, you don't do a fucking superplex into a Falcon's arrow as a false finish, you dumb motherfucker. Like, and beep, beep, beep. Like, well, he's just sitting there taking it. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that kind of shit, dude. Like, fuck your match. We've seen every fucking match there is.
Gordon Ramsay is one of the most beloved TV people, because you know what happens is when Gordon gives you a compliment, guess what happens? Wow, that means something, doesn't it?
Exactly. So when Seth would finally get it right and come back and have the right match at WrestleMania where he's not taking out Sting or fucking somebody else up. And he comes to the curtain and it's a real, after a year of showing him how to fucking really get something over and not have to win with 4 curb stomps, but lose 4 times in a row till he finally gets 1 curb stomp and it means something and gets rid of all the ROH bullshit. Like, dude, until that happens, nothing will ever change. It'll all just be them fooling themselves, patting themselves on the back for being masters of the universe because they're kind, because they marched out the Connors Cure kids so Steph can get another fucking award when they know the reality of what they're doing is for their stock price.
Our family.
Yeah, we are family. Hangman Page vs. Pac announced for AEW's Dynamite premiere. We'll see. I mean, here's Pac, supposed to be the disgruntled A-list guy. Why aren't they pushing him and making him a star coming from WWE? He's just an indie darling, supposed to be able to go everywhere, and wrestle anyone. Even his match, they were way pissed off about at the last thing because they had to cut 4 minutes because they pre-planned a ton of shit. Like, what do you expect, dude? Like, you're a better worker than that. Be that, you know what I mean? Instead of we're stealing the show because we got 21 false finishes at the right time. Oh, we got to cut it back to 12 false finishes. Fuck, we're fucked. And then they're all mad about it because their time got cut. Instead of just, how can I get my heat with the crowd? You watch GGP work, he'll take 4 or 5 minutes off his match in the beginning just to get the crowd to hate him and can go home way earlier. I way rather see that from those guys.
Good point. What is the deal with Pac? He had a visa problem. Now he's able to come over here, I guess. And I go back to asking the question, why are they allowing these people, if they're on the TV roster? You say they're shutting it down, but why would you even take indie bookings a week before you're on TV?
Because maybe the paychecks haven't started rolling in from AEW until TV starts.
Then what are the pay-per-view payoffs?
And how long do you have to wait till they come? And maybe you took bookings because they knew you were going to AEW. You doubled your price, and the marks you wanted to work for will pay it because they're marks for AEW as promoters.
Wow. I just always see the Moxley thing, and I see that the whatever money you think you're getting extra now, your body could be broken down. Your body could definitely be injured. You put in a lot of gym time to look your best, to be TV ready. These are the things I look at because we see a lot of I've seen a lot of bodies, on those pay-per-views as they're going. I could tell people I think Paige was hurt from the first pay-per-view on. Whether that's a work or not, who knows? But you don't want to be
definitely a lot more rigid than he was a year and a half ago of taking those big chances on the apron and doing that kind of shit. And it caught up to him quick. A lot of, riding that horse out, that'll do a number on your back.
Just make sure extra pyro for the horse. I love that. That's my favorite thing. Did you see the Hunter Horse Helmsley on the truck thing? That was clever.
It's good.
I wish it was real. If that's what I'm talking about, put that fucking horse on there and call it that.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Even you could do shoot promos, like do the Mr. Ed thing and have somebody edit it as the horse cuts promos and shit like Mr. Ed.
I'm over.
Cuts
That's
old
a cat. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Cuts old Triple H promos and shit. That'd be fucking awesome.
We'll fucking do it. We have nothing to lose.
That could be part of Master Shoot where we go to check in on Triple H, but it's Hunter Horse Helmsley this time.
And I'll just be playing fucking pyro sound effects.
News from Russo's show, Master Shoot Theater, going to its own standalone on the brand as well. So appreciate everybody who's loved it so much. Steve and I have so much fun with it, man. It really lets us we love to pop Russo, that's first and foremost, but it just really lets us get our creative juices flowing together and have a good fucking time, man. And also, as Russo asked the origin story of it, and this week, if you're not a subscriber, please, you're missing out because it's just great stuff at russosbrand.com. But Stevie telling the story how it was him and Crash Holly were did it as a fun thing in the car. I had almost forgotten about that, and I'm honored to be able to do that, make somebody laugh, and have it be a part of Crash's memory. That's was very humbling for me.
Yeah, it was it's what the boys do. You kind of turn your frustration either if it's with other talents, the office or whatever, and that's kind of what we did. And it's funny how it came back full circle. I mean, we're talking decades later afterwards, early 2000s, we were doing that kind of stuff. So it's good stuff. It never, ceases to, I would never forget them, but it's a good reminder every week. So I'm glad you're a part of it. It's good. We're going to try to add some elements to it. It's a work in progress. So, you'll be able to, if you subscribe to that tier of the Realm Network, it might not be exactly what we want in the beginning, but we're always trying to improve it.
Yeah, we just got so much work to do between now and the end of the year. We're going to be doing it and refining, retooling it. But by 2020, we hope to have it in places. Something that's going to be really great. Major news for international wrestling fans on how to watch AEW Dynamite outside the U.S. Press release has been issued announcing that every episode of the series will be available live on demand through Fight TV outside the U.S. and Canada. AEW Dynamite will be available for just on a per episode basis for $2.99 every week, or fans can sign up for the AEW Plus subscription for $4.99 a month. This will be available in numerous countries and regions, including but not limited to UK, Ireland, Australia, Japan, Italy, Spain, China, Brazil, and the Middle East. However, I did see, and that's the end of the press release on that, but I did see fans saying they won't be released till 4 days later on there for their country. So why the fuck would anybody who's internet savvy not go to one of the sites of the thousands of sites that are going to have it up on Daily Motion or whatever the fuck you steal your media on and watch it instead of paying that amount? Somebody's got to get that ironed out where sure you can do it and go back and watch at your leisure, but that's an addendum. TNT, some execs need to do some deal with a network there to make sure it airs live at the same time. That's an essential thing that needs to get done last week.
Do you think that's some kind of deal with the TV networks they have right now, or streaming? Or 4 days is like it, dude, the highlight shows. I love them. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have the highlight shows up like 2 hours after the show goes off the air. Yep. You're not going to make a dime off that.
Nope. So that's what's crazy to me, that and their fans hit them up. So I think that's probably being discussed in real time right now as we discuss it, of what's the solution.
As people are posing with t-shirts and wasting away.
Yeah. That's what you want to talk about first thing in the morning, right? Hey, we got a big meeting today. Oh God, not another big meeting. Every day's a big meeting.
Well, shouldn't he say? Did we talked before? Do you think the big meetings weren't happening, and then they got crept up on, and they're like, "Whoa, shit!"
Yeah. Oh yes,
Because remember, they were in they were going on the campaign trail, and we kept saying that you have to have a Skype meeting at least every day.
Every day. Got it. There's no way you can. And here's the other part of that too: is who is the Strangler Steve behind the scenes there? Who is the Mark Carano, Johnny Ace, who's getting things I'm not talking in the stooge way. I don't want to lump Steve in with those guys, but who's the guy with the clipboard who's going, this pre-tape's done. We got to get
quality control.
Yeah. And that's just for the show. Let's talk about the marketing, the fucking TV deals that's got to get done, the billboards, the trucks, the commercial buy time, like the strategies of all that. Do you think Matt and Nick Jackson and, Cody and Paige and Omega have thought about like that business plan as vice presidents fully and completely, and to look at how to get ROI on that? I don't know, man. I just, none of them have a business degree. So I don't know, just based on experience in selling t-shirts to people, how you expect them to have that acumen. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm completely lost on it. But if that's the upper echelon of, the brain trust, I don't know.
Well, you have to have, I would assume Khan might be, I should say speculating, because I don't want to assume that because of the Jacksonville Jaguars, there might be someone on the PR team who's a wrestling fan that's kind of pulling double duty, or They're doing something where they're working off of the infrastructure they already have from other sports teams or businesses, because they did get a billboard up somewhere that we saw, that like the thing with Cody and Dustin and the abdominal stretch that looked really good. I don't know where, if that was in New York City or if that was whatever, wherever that was, but you have to already have an office person doing all that stuff. And the trucks is a whole other thing. And then you have to coordinate the photo shoots and have the right setup for that to put the, however they're going to do the body wraps or whatever on the trucks. And it's hard to say. And then you got to buy the trucks. Are you renting the trucks, or did you buy the trucks? Because those trucks are at least a couple $100,000 a piece, right? And then you have to have a truck driver. This $100 million can go pretty quick.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like all these little things that they've never had to worry about fully are now an everyday thing for them. And that's fine.
You don't think that they have office people that are handling this every day? I agree with you, but wouldn't you think they would say?
They do, but this, and I'm sure it could gel, but we're in the infancy steps of it here, of getting all that, the gears grinding so the machine starts to come to life, right? And goes, it takes them a lot of momentum to do all that. And out of the gate, when you're being like, they've been lucky to do a show, have 6-7 weeks off, do a show, 6-7 weeks off. Now it's week. And they'll learn, but what does that mean on their bodies? The burnout, the setup, the tear down, the marketing, the radio promo, the TV spots,
Well, don't forget about actually having to wrestle, and then you get injured wrestling, and now creatively you have to do something, or somebody else gets hurt week in and week out if you're having to put on all these matches and they've never worked hard time.
Truck breaks down, catches on fire.
Yeah.
two OVW ring trucks have been flipped and caught on fire in the last 14 years.
Dude, I mean, these are things like, obviously, like I would if it were me and you, and this is this is kind of so long for a conversation, but I think it's a great conversation to have, the ones we're having in this episode, because when you look at everything, and I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'll tell you what, if all four of us, say we had to do the Conspiracy Horseman TV show, and we had a choice between getting paid what we get paid and handle everything ourselves, and that's a difference between being executive producers and having the last say on what creatively goes into the show. I'm talking about if they said, oh, by the way, well, Stevie, you can edit, but you also have to set up the cameras, but you also have to make sure that production assistants are on there. You also have to write the shot list. You also have to have this stuff. I'd be like, or what you can do is take a little bit less money and we can hire some people to do that. We can actually have a crew. All four of us would probably say, yeah. Well, three of us would definitely say, because the fourth is Bookie Monster. But I would say I got to be a fucking on-screen talent, and I got to worry about if Frank, Bill, and John and have the right fucking cameras, because I have to edit this shit afterwards. Then I got a shot list. I got to think about where we got to be next. We got to be done by 9. We have Union that we have to worry about. What if the fucking Union decides at the MCI Center in Washington or whatever it's called, or anywhere else, we're not fucking working today, we're on strike? I mean, fuck, dude, these can all happen. And if you have to wrestle that night, dude, something's going to suffer. This is like booking, like, and they're booking the show. Yeah. And they're the bookers. This is booking times 1,000,000.
Yep.
Something's going to suffer, or everything's going to suffer.
I think everything is going to suffer, unfortunately. I'm not trying to say that to be like, haha, they're all going to suffer. Like, I just worked Immortal at the fucking Eagles Club, right? 150 people. I agented 3 segments plus my own kind of, and putting that together. My segment absolutely suffered because my fucking focus was on those guys, and all their segments got over. I was happy to do that and agent it. And I'm not producing for TV there, where all I have to worry about is hard cam for my own shit and whatever, right? And it's a spot show, but not like at OVW of like, be here, we got to get this spot because we got to relate to this business to do that. Like, even just me being spread that thin and doing all the finishes was enough to be like, I suffered. Now, everything that you said of running the company on the road week in, week out, there's no way that it cannot, Stevie. So to my original question, who is the stage manager? Who is the top crew person? I saw that Kevin Sullivan just left Impact. So I think he's maybe who they're going to just say, I'm too burnt out. I can't even be in the editing room. Here's what we want it to look like. We trust you. Here's carte blanche. Go for it. I'll look at Final Cut, give you edits, and we'll do it that way, because there's no way they could do everything we just said and then go into the editing room for fucking 4 hours, a day to do that.
Well, I mean, it's live TV.
Yeah, but they're gonna but they got to cut all the packages and shit together for next week.
You would hope. Because once again, what we're working with here is a real thing where, like I said, this isn't our gotcha thing. I'm sure they thought about it, but there's no way of knowing until you actually are in it how it's going to go. They could fall prey to the fact that the opening match does go over 10 minutes over its time. And then they have to scramble and tell this person, oh, you have 5 instead of this. And then it's like, oh shit, the package is 1:45, not a minute. Okay, tell them in the ring they got to cut a minute off their do. Is everybody able to react professionally without shutting the entire match down and doing the old dipping your head in before you whip them into the ropes kind of thing? You know what I mean? Right. Like recalling the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Or looking at the referee like, what do you mean we got back to the, hey pal, we're live. You know what I mean? Fuck. Yep. These are things, and I'll tell you what, there's a part of me too that's like, holy shit, that might make for good TV right there. The whole deal, like, put those cameras backstage.
Sure.
Let's see how it runs. Let's see the fucking growth. Let's see the birthing pains. Let's see all that shit, because I'm guarantee you, I'd watch that before I watch Vince's stuff. If you told me, hey, we're going to show everything that goes on and we're going to live stream during the day on Twitch, and you can share bits to AEW or do whatever. We're going to live stream the production meetings and not give away finishes, but we're going to show you how this whole thing runs, because we're kind of figuring it out too as we go along.
Yeah, they should have a Twitch team. Dude's got a mobile on. He goes where he wants to. He has independent, and if they got to get him out of there, they give the big hand over the camera, get the fuck out, and then he goes and finds the girls fighting over there.
I say once again though, these are people even more so than what we see in WWE possible. I mean, for a fact, do they really want to look like the bad guy? Do they really want to look stupid sometimes? Do they really want to look like where they show their ass on Twitter all the time and sell for people? Imagine if they're caught. Imagine if Brandy's caught being kind of a petty bitch backstage, not in a wrestling term, but in a real, we all have our moments.
Sure.
I went through something a little bit last night during the Horseman where I kind of hit a wall and I didn't feel so, I was just fucking shut down a little bit. We all have our fucking weak moments.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that is on a television show and it's the owner's wife, or not the owner, but the EVP's wife?
I like
and
it.
She's the brand officer. What?
That's going to make you actually really feel something. And then from there, if that's a true expose of, and then where this is all hypothetical, of who she really is, well, then that's the creative. If that's the aha moment, okay, we got something. We got a lot of response to that. Brandy being catty in some way in a situation, but meanwhile, she's trying to babyface. That's very Steph, but Steph ends up becoming a huge heel. How do we turn that volume up on there? Because people connected and they want to see more of that. So the reality side of it, of them not wanting to show ass or just be human on camera because of our own flaws to the social contract, could end up being the catalyst for new creative that pushes wrestling in a whole new way. But it's about the gamble of being able to expose your soft underbelly to the world instead of kayfabe and whatnot. And not a lot of people have self awareness to do that. WWE begins Twitter tournament to find out SmackDown's greatest superstar. WWE has begun a massive Twitter tournament to determine the greatest superstar in history of the SmackDown brand. The bracket is divided into 4 divisions named after the former Blue brand general managers Paige, Vicky Guerrero, Teddy Long, and Paul Heyman. Cast your vote now by opening the Twitter thread below. So looks like, which era. I would not say Teddy Long with all the cage or the throw together tag matches. Paige, definitely not. I'd probably have to go with Vicky Guerrero or Paul Heyman's. Who are you going to go?
I'm not on Twitter anymore, so that's fine.
I mean, The Rock to me is obviously the biggest star.
You're the biggest star on SmackDown because you named the fucking show after him.
Right. So it's a hands down. There's no whatever. After that, you could say it was Eddie's show. It was Ray's show for a while too. And and even Cena's for a little bit. So there's different eras, but to me, it's The Rock, hands down. Forget about it.
I got an AEW thing really quick. Is this the actual picture of this Dave Bixenspan or whatever his name is on Twitter? Like, is this the actual picture? He looks like the caveman from the Geico commercials.
Yeah, that's him. He's like 5'1", super acne with a beard that grows glasses and then just like hair that hasn't been washed in 2 months.
This is the guy that everybody is afraid of.
Yeah, this is the dude that people even he barely goes out into sunlight, let alone fucking to a show to the ring.
Face-to-face confrontation. Well, Brandy Rhodesbury's pro wrestling journalist on social media because of this thing with the truck having her and Cody on it, the first AEW production truck that they got to see. By the way, that's your fault as well because you should have shown anybody but you two. You should have said, no, don't put us on the truck first. Don't show that picture first because it's going to be a bad look.
Or did they not even know and didn't sign off on that because like they're doing smash Triple H's chair. We're not them at all. And then they do the exact move that Triple H did was Steph's facing his on the back of the fucking truck. Like if it was a rib and they got it over as that, that's fine. Or is it just like, yeah, we're stars, let's do it. And they didn't even see in their foresight of what they are actually doing is identical to game.
Yeah. Well, here's what it is. She says, as a journalist, the tweet was, it's weird how she had to point this out here. She goes, she goes, as a journalist, I would have guessed you knew a traveling production had more than one truck and that I wouldn't be on all of them. And he goes, my mistake. Next time, post pictures of the other ones too. Well, whatever. Go fuck yourself. I'll do what I want. That's what I would think. But she goes, there's AEW on TNT and AEW wrestling accounts, which feature all AEW talents. This is my personal account. All right. She's telling him not to tweet her anymore, I guess. Is that what that means?
I guess. But I mean, that wasn't too hard on hers where he wants to be like, obviously people are going to follow the Brandy Rhodes account to see all the bikini shots to start with, but over the others. But, she does have a point of like, he wants to go at her because he's a little whiny, mealy mouth. It's Pat lookalike who's never done shit.
Oh, I get the accounts have the other trucks and she's coming at her. I'm sorry.
On that.
Okay.
So she could have, and she handled some shit a couple weeks ago in not the right way. This seems, I don't know, I hate to use these words, stupid words, savage enough, but like controlled enough in a demeaning way of speaking down to somebody in the locker room has no business fucking trying to hold somebody's feet to the fire. The other part of that is she's selling for David Bixen, who's a fucking moron who shouldn't be listened to by anybody as an expert in this business, hasn't paid due one, hasn't drawn ticket one, and here she is selling for him. Even if it's to shut him down, the fact that she even addresses this dude is wrong. It's got to be a complete no sell, but it's not, which reveals the fact that she knows it's a Triple H Stephanie look and doesn't feel good about it, feels a little icky about it. So everybody in this is like,
now, do you think hypothetically, do you think that like, I think they were the first two on the trucks. Like there's other trucks, but they were the first two. And if someone came to me, because you're hypersensitive about heat, about the look, and also about making the roster happy and having a good locker room morale. I would say we are going to be the last ones, but it's cool to have your picture on a truck. Maybe they got caught up with it, especially her. Like, this is so cool that they put our pictures on the truck. I think that, you think that, but if we had people underneath us that were also going to be on the trucks, do the bottom person first. Do Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
I would put Sonny Kiss's ass while he's looking over his shoulder.
No, I'd put it with Dreamer's face in the ass at the moment when Sonny Kiss did that. And I'd be like, catch AEW on TNT with the fire coming out of Sonny's ass into Dreamer's face. That's what I would do. Because that fucking, at least people would look. There'd be accidents on the highway.
Yeah, dude. If you all like, there's tons of options that would have been a lot cooler than that. Or maybe, like I said, they didn't even know that this was going to happen. And someone's like, take the 8x10s. We got to wrap the truck, and it's out of their wheelhouse because they're worried about something else.
And somebody just tried to get over with them and play like politic and kiss their ass.
Exactly.
Because they're, by the way, I want to get, for people that say, well, I guess this Twitter age, we're a little older. So we get what it's like to like just fucking ignore the heat or the noise of these tweets. But there's a reason why Skip Bayless, and I keep going back to this because he is like the most notorious sports, what they call it. They call him a troll, but I think he's just somebody that's contrarian. He always has a different opinion. He has his favorites, and he also goes at people he thinks don't have any talent. He's never played professional football, yet he criticizes football players. These people, the football players, the basketball players, all these people sell for him. They hate him, and he makes north of $4 to $5 million a year because everybody sells for him. Also, what I love about him actually is he doesn't follow anybody on Twitter, and he doesn't even look at his fucking mentions because he says if he does, he'll be selling for those people.
Yep.
So this David Bixman or whatever, Brandy Rhodes just gave him more credibility and the potential to make more money of what he does by selling for him, because now he's not somebody, we're not even going to ignore. Now he's 1-to-1 with somebody who runs a wrestling company. And she's not the only one that's done it, right? I think people have buried him. Somebody did from WWE the other day.
This week. Yeah, the other day. So they take, and that's just taking your celebrity and absolutely fucking flushing it. Like if you went at Ron Funches, a guy that was in it with Hurricane Helms. Funches is well known in comedy. He's carved his niche. He's a wrestling mark. People know it. There's a shine in the celebrity. You lower yourself to the fucking lowest level tape trader, masturbator, walk up at the fucking, to ask for a free selfie at the merch table, dudes. Like that's who you're gonna swing bats with. Your celebrity is just like that's it, dude. You have no mystique whatsoever. You're proving that anyone can be gotten to. Somebody asked me something in the chat. Did I catch NXT last night? No, we were doing the Horsemen. I'll probably watch some quick highlights or lowlights, but I was at OVW for 3 years. I know what student shows look like.
You'll get Donovan Dickhead mad at you.
Well, whatever. I'll direct his segment too. AEW World Champion Chris Jericho took to Twitter today to mock the name of NXT UK star and the current UK champion Walter. Jericho randomly tweeted out that Walter was the worst name ever, making a bold claim that the new NXT UK superstar who has been incredibly popular since joining WWE. Dude, Jericho is brilliant. He's the head of AEW, the face, the crossover, the fuck you, or possibly the big mole who's still working for WWE. If WWE really owns AEW, if you go back to Russo, possibly conspiracies, Jericho is going to get everybody over. He knows that competition is going to drive ratings up. Walter is obviously a star, looks like a fucking new age version of Lurch in the ring who can actually move. And the name Walter is a perfect Jericho name of like to antagonize you with, you know, that he would say over and over in a way that would make you super pissed off. And Jericho knows enough to not even put over NXT. And this isn't a shot across the bow. This is just like Jericho going, watch me get a little heat and get this guy over, even though I'm under contract fully that other way. Dude, he's doing good business for the entire wrestling industry with that kind of shit, in my opinion.
But is Walter not a mark? And can Walter see that there's something in there? I would think maybe more so him, because he's been on the indies, than just being one of those rehearsal promo people like Bailey in the fucking Performance Center.
I wouldn't doubt if Chris reached out to him beforehand to say I was going to do it too.
Probably. I mean, and Walter, like, sure, fuck. I mean, you know, you get into that kind of thing.
Yep.
I just don't want to get chopped by him. So be careful, Jericho.
Yeah, fuck that. I've been chopped by Von Lilas. So, I mean, Walter chops hard, but not Von Lilas hard. Yeah, man. I think like as the sheets try and bait it, like, oh, Jericho said something about like, to me, dude, that's a perfect move for Jericho to pop the sheets on some stupid shit because a WWE guy got mentioned by an AEW guy. But at the same time, Jericho doing that knows that this guy's a hot property on the rise, and me putting his name out there is going to do good biz for everybody. Stone Cold Steve Austin admits he could have one more wrestling match, Stevie.
I know what country it'll be in, too.
WWE Hall of Famer SCSA spoke about he could possibly wrestle one more match during his latest podcast. For the last couple of weeks down there at the Raw reunion in Tampa, down there at Madison Square Garden show at Monday Night Raw, people always ask me, hey, man, you're still in really good shape. You got one more match left in you? And I tell them, man, I say, you know, it's a tough thing. About physically, Steve Austin, when he really talks, sounds just like me now that people know that. Yes, most definitely. Would be able to have one more match. Yes, I would make it to that match without being injured, although the risks are always there because I think of surgeries I've had where I had the spinal stenosis and getting that bone spur taken off my spinal cord. I'm in a good place. Nerves are feeling a lot better than they used to. So, you know, in theory, we could have a match. In theory, yes, Stone Cold said. So Stone Cold versus who in Saudi Arabia? What's the dream book? Him? What, maybe, but I'm thinking, will the Saudis want Vince versus Stone Cold?
Whew. Dude, I'm a little afraid to have Vince in the ring.
It's who the Saudis want, though, right? It's at their leisure of the match of who they'll at the end of the day say, yeah, no, this is what we want. Could be Stone Cold versus Yokozuna.
And Andre in a 3-way.
Yep.
And if people think we're making fun, they thought Yokozuna was alive.
And they booked a guy from Japan who was an indie guy who not a real name, a sumo guy. And Braun Strowman can wear a wig. So you might get it. You might get it.
Hogan or dude, do you think Rocky would take 20 million?
Yeah, I think you would. Austin Rock would probably be fucking phenomenal. If I was going to do it, that's what I would do.
Pay them each 10 million or 20 million.
And Rock's next big blockbuster, Fast and Furious franchise debuts all over Saudi Arabia. Everybody's mandatory to go or get your head cut off.
Hey, by the way, how can they afford this WWE show when they lost all that oil from the Iran attack?
Well, yeah, the Iran attack, and now we're deploying troops into Saudi Arabia for some reason. I'm not sure.
Trump literally said, like, you let us know who did it, and then we'll fucking go get them. Yeah, like, what?
We are deploying 7,000 troops to Saudi Arabia right now.
Yeah. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he literally said in a tweet of all things, not a presidential address. We make fun of Twitter thumbs, as you call them. Like we're not just one way or the other, man. We're fucking, it's not just WWE that's up for sale with the Saudis. Fucking dancing like a puppet.
But that's the intro. And then here we are with the doors open to move freely back and forth. The entertainment opens the door of, all right, here's the trade back and forth. Oh, but we need the weapons. Okay, we got that. We can do that covertly. But now we need the troops. That's got to be a little more in front. So they're used to it now. We'll move that in there. That's cool. And then WWE's coming back. So you know what? We'll do the show for the Saudis. Then we're going to go do a tribute for the troops in Saudi Arabia. Double shot, you guys.
Talent's really happy, I'm sure.
Yep. And it'll just become normal and commonplace, dude. WWE.
I get visibly like I can feel my stomach like sick to think about not everything you just mentioned, just a flight over, sitting on a fucking plane. Like that's when you'll see me drinking that fucking Dan Aykroyd vodka or the I'll be hammered. I'll be instantly arrested when I get off the fucking plane.
That would be awesome. And then Right to Censor actually takes over as the new Stasi over there. WWE has made the decision to change the name of yet another wrestler, this time NXT superstar having their name changed. WWE switched the name Lacey Lane this week, officially changing the name to Caden Carter, with the NXT star changing their name officially on social media. So no more Lacey Lane. She's Caden Carter. She's got her face covered. She obviously found the same, what do you call it, contact lens maker that Ember Moon has and whoever else is wearing those fucking weirdo contact lenses that Rey Mysterio got over. So that's that. I didn't know who she was as Lacey Lane. I know even less now as Caden Carter.
Are those contact lenses? Do they turn baby faces into jump starting heels? Is that what they do?
It all depends on how you come on your entrance.
Dude, I still have no idea what is it supposed to be? What is any of them supposed to be? Like they've eliminated all the baby faces and heels from the women's division, right? Like Charlotte's not even technically a heel anymore, is she?
No. And the heat where what happened when she gets beat and Bayley runs out of the arena with the belt like a heel, but she's doing a best friend story angle with a heel where she stays baby, and Alexa's a bitch, but she empathizes with the ugly girl with the accent. So they're friends. So it's
nobody gets over. You don't get over. You don't get over. You don't get over.
It's iconic. Pass the sushi.
And they were actual heels that aren't on TV anymore.
I mean, maybe they could join a clique with Buddy Murphy and call themselves the Forgotten. It'll be great. Strategy. AXS TV has sent out a press release officially confirming that Impact Wrestling will be moving to Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. starting October 29th. The move is expected after Impact's parent company Anthem recently acquired the network, as WWE SmackDown will be moving to the Friday nights each week. In the build of the debut, which comes just 1 week off the heels of this year's Bound for Glory pay-per-view, Access will be airing the entirety of this year's pay-per-view catalog, starting with Homecoming on 10/1, Rebellion 10/8, and Slammiversary 10/15. So news for us is we're adding shows. We had a big producers meeting on Skype yesterday. I appreciate everybody being able to join in, or I got to catch up with Ray to iron out a couple of details. But we're going to be adding Impact to the lineup, and Jonathan Jansen, one of my original co-hosts from WrestleZone's coming back. So pumped to have Joe Jan join us. And again, and he's got great sports talk on XM Radio. We're also adding Hitting the Mark Sports Podcast, Stevie. So I imagine soon you'll probably make a appearance on that, just spit some fire. And then we're going to have NXT AEW Thursdays and Hackdown, which Ray will be covering SmackDown on Saturday. So even more content in addition to all the shows that we already have and talked about Master Shoot Theater. So it may be a little bumpy at first, especially with these October shows and Impact of how we're going to cover it, just look backs, but as we build to the debut. But I'm pumped, man. The answer is more content, not just shuffling it around.
Yeah, we shuffled our recording schedule with Vince around. I think it's going to work out a lot better. It's going to be a lot earlier in the night, than 10 or 11 p.m. I'm very happy about that. And you know, we're kind of like when we get to the Horsemen, it's kind of like burnout. And then when we get to this, even though we've had a good long episode this time, it's like we're running on fumes sometimes with the locker room stuff.
Yep.
How do you feel about them not going head to head? No show going head to head with WWE
on Monday
on any day, like
Friday?
AEW or Impact.
I mean, AEW NXT is the head to head, so that's the real early battlefield. And all NXT has to do is pull a small percentage of AEW's numbers. That's the real first shot across the bow move in this war. It's not about NXT winning. It's just about NXT being a terrorist force to disrupt order, right? Not give them the whole piece of the pie out of the gate. They're not going to let them have that. So,
well, NXT drew 1.1 million, didn't they? They drew a pretty good rating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they're not head to head either. So, like I say,
well, but then again, dude, what if AEW, like, if I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, I'm like, but you know, you're talking about working con. Yeah. It's like, I'm actually happy NXT is on Wednesday nights, because if we don't, like, what if they drew 200,000 without NXT on Wednesday nights? But what if they draw 200,000 with NXT on Wednesday nights? You have your excuse.
Sure.
We definitely have to build it up because we got this competition on Wednesdays. If you're running unopposed for 2 to 3 months and drawing, not even breaking what the Impact was doing, the balloon is off the rose.
Sure. My prediction is AEW will do a 1.6 out of the gate, 1.6 million. And if NXT is doing 1.1 now, that very first week, NXT will go to 600 to 700,000 and AEW be at 1.6. And then it'll kind of stick that way. NXT might go down a little bit more, and the creative will decide where the fuck you're going to go. And one will go way down and the other one will reach either a 2, or they're both going to be at 1 million each. Like, there's going to be a separation and then in order to get people to stick. But really, all that really needs to be done is NXT to give some cheap pops to get people to turn the channel and lower that AEW number strategically, and that's going to fuck with them with TNT.
Or the total audience on Wednesday nights is 1.1 million, and they each split it at 500,000 or so, flipping back and forth.
Right.
So, like, it could hurt Wednesday nights. Because you think about it, dude, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then there's some Saturday shit on too for MLW and other indies, dude.
Right. But NXT doesn't need to win. That's the point.
NXT doesn't need to, they don't need to do anything because they're going to run commercials and make some money for the brand for a change. Yeah, I get it.
Yep. So the AEW's got a lot more to lose in this head-to-head.
And think about this. We talked about it before. Kevin Owens on NXT, Rey Mysterio coming in. You can start getting guys from Raw and SmackDown to do run-ins on NXT to finish the show.
Bring back the Ascension. Tyler, or put the Ascension with fuck's his name. Come find me and fight me. Crowley.
No, but what I mean is, like, bringing WWE properties to NXT, like for a run-in at the end of NXT, and then next week Rey Mysterio is going to wrestle this NXT guy. Now you're like, whoa, shit. I mean, if they start rotating in guys they're not really doing much with WWE, but fucking throw them in NXT for a week to get a boost. Now you got 100 guys.
It's about story, right? You do the angle of Dominic wants to wrestle with his dad. Well, he's got to go to NXT. They're in the crowd. Somebody gets fucking heat on him, on the kid. Ray has to step up, has a match, just out of there, right there.
I mean, you could even have, dude, I'm serious. You could fucking have Austin show up on NXT. You can have anybody like legends wise. It's in Florida. Get fucking Scott Hall come out, Kevin Nash. You can have them sitting in the crowd. Now it's like, ooh, every week. I mean, I'm just saying, you got 100 guys, not counting the fucking legends, that you can lean back on week to week with NXT to create some surprises. And you never know who's going to show up. Who's AEW have?
Well, the following week, you might get 30 minutes Arn versus Dean to compete with.
I'd watch Arn and Tully tag up.
Yeah. Why
against
not?
fucking young guys.
Yeah. Bucks versus Arn and Tully. Come on, dude.
Just to see it.
Just to see it.
So
that's all good stuff right there. Great conversations today. Fuck the news. I mean, what we're covering here is awesome. And our final news,
I think the fucking people who actually work at the company should listen to it. Not saying we know everything, but these are just questions across the board of what can we have, dude. If Vince is not going to fucking use most of the talents, active and retired, who already live in Florida, to say, hey, can you go there for a couple shows and give us a little spike for NXT? Fuck, man. You don't think Shawn Michaels showing up on NXT to fucking clear house at the end of a show?
Oh, that's what him versus Ciampa is what they want, or Gargano is what they want more than anything.
There you go.
Our final story today. I think I finally put him on the shelf. Another career ended. WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan seems to be out of the woods after being hospitalized on Friday, according to his wife, Deborah. Wrestling legend underwent 2 emergency surgeries in a period of just 24 hours.
Jesus.
While he at one point had a severe infection, it looks like they're through the worst of it now. Duggan should be released from the hospital after a few days when the doctors gave him an all clear. He was released yesterday. Sent him a message quick saying, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, pass along. We'll double up on him. Please pass along my
I will for sure. But he was in the wheelchair, thumbs up. I'm not sure where the infection was or anything, or where the surgeries were. Kept kayfabe, not too worried about it. Just glad Hacksaw's home, resting easy, and hopefully he's got his daughters back at school and all that, so you don't have to worry about it. Or if they're there, that they're all waiting on him hand and foot, and he's just got a little bell and he can do what he needs to do. So
and catch him this weekend at 2 indie shows where he'll still be wrestling. He's not taking any time off.
No, you can catch his stand-up show Friday night, Saturday night. He'll be in Midwest Championship Wrestling. Yeah, man. Like I said, nothing red hot with shots across the bow, but it feels like the Cold War tensions are building up. Our momentum, I'm super pumped about after that meeting, and just great interactors with the Hamin Media Discussion Group. A lot of guys like Adam Rivera, William Alicia in there doing great things. Jeremy Ellsworth with the Pick'em Challenge. A lot of fun stuff always going on there as we vet the best wrestling fans so we can keep our inner circle of loyalists tight. And if you know somebody who is one who isn't in there and you want to invite them, please do. If it gets out of hand, we'll always regulate. But everyone's just carving out their piece of the pie, man, and doing the most with their expertise. And I couldn't ask for more than that with a group mind and a group effort with my name on the cover of it and helping to push everybody's brands forward. It was really cool the other day.
Yeah. I gave him a couple t-shirt ideas too, based on 8-bit video games. I think that would be cool to have the Horseman and off of that. Be really cool. Yeah, that's about it. My wife is actually, hopefully she's still here, so I might have to go really quick. So
appreciate you, dude. StevieRichardsFitness.com. He's not checking Twitter at BWO Stevie, but feel free to tag me.
I feel so fucking good. It's been 2.5 weeks. Sal, you're a genius.
But you can see all the shirtless pictures at Stevie Richards on Instagram. And we'll keep pushing on YouTube, putting out great content for you guys. You know, as selfless as he is, puts out another thing. Don't buy my program and still get in shape. He wants humans to be the best humans they can possibly be. And that's why I'm glad to have him as my consigliere here in the veteran locker room on Fridays.
I appreciate that. I had one of my weeks where it was like I was ready to shut the whole thing down.
I know, man.
Everybody gets that way. I'm not going to be, I put up those sauna videos and stuff, and it's just it's hard sometimes to see the carnies of the world. I know self for it a lot. We all do, but you sold for it a little bit ago. Sal sells it. We all kind of go in our waves. I was the most recent victim, brother.
So and we're trying to get inside the in between the waves, as Terrence Howard lets us know how to unlock the flower of life through Pythagorean theorem. And we're going to keep cranking out all the great shows that you guys love. Conspiracy Horseman, and this will be out on Friday as the dog pukes on my chair after he got into the garbage. So it should be a fun morning here as your Veteran Friday locker room. Y'all, bandit, you fucking heel. Don't eat that.